Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Interviews with the Masters series. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Noushin, and I have a passion to have the conversation about the mind, body, soul connection and union. And I created a series of interviews with the masters on this topic. And when I say masters, what I mean is for people. Exactly. People that they worked on themselves and in these topics for so long, and they just don't have the knowledge about it. They have the first-hand experience of it. Because to me, knowledge is just for the mind, but when we have the first-hand experience, it's for the heart and how we can apply to our own life and everybody around us. And with all being said, today I have the honor and privilege to have Mr. Tobias Lars with us. And Tobias is a spiritual counselor, business consultant, and he owns the spiritual travel business. And he lives in Arizona, yes, for us living in Arizona. And for the past 25 years, Tobias is partner in 2 international trading firms. And then also he's a yoga teacher, he's a poet, he's a musician, and he leads spiritual seminars nationally. Also, he has the book, the name is Listening to the Sun, which we talked about it later. I would love to know more about it. So with that short, join me. Yes, short introduction. Please join me to welcome Mr. Tobias Lars. Thank you so much, Tobias.
It's so weird to try to put yourself in a little box of stuff. You know, you're like, oh, that's me. I'm remembering that's me. Okay, good. I'll be that. Anyway, yeah.
So anything I missed?
Go ahead.
Anything I missed introducing you?
No, I don't do many, I do some sessions still under soulcounseling.com, but tobiaslars.com, you find everything we do. I've been on hiatus for a while. For personal cleanup, personal kundalini, personal upgrades, which is, if anyone, listening to this, if you're going through shedding skins and jobs and relationships and whole new ways of eating or feeling, and you think there's something wrong with you or what's going on with me, this is totally normal at this time on earth. We're all going through massive unfoldings. We're evolving as humans. We used to have it that our parents or grandparents, they sort of lived one life. It was like, that's it, one life, and you didn't have major changes. But that exploded, with some with our parents, but certainly with us, that you have multiple careers, multiple marriages, there's all kinds of things that happen. So at this time on earth, a lot of, I was going to say exploding, it's the wrong word, but it really is. It's sort of information and also evolution, human consciousness evolution. So this is confusing times for many, many people. And when you're playing with real fire, it's very different than studying it in books. You know what I mean? So anybody, you're going through personality changes, your soul's awakening. I'm no longer like that, or I used to be. It's like, this is all normal right now. And anyway, that's what we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that, because I hear there's some echoes, so maybe we are just like being watched or something.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. So yes, exactly what you said. Even I hear some people call it personal Armageddon.
Yes.
Like everything is different. Like everything is just so changing all around. Relationships, careers, even health. As a body worker, I have a lot of clients that they are suffering. They have no idea, and the normal mainstream medicine is not answering what they are, going through. So I'm really, really thrilled to have this conversation with you. I have conversations about, I hear a lot of people say ascension. So when you hear ascension, what we can dig deeper about it.
Yeah. So traditionally, historically, you know, Buddhas, Lao Tzu's, the very few that are public masters, Jesus, St. Paul, St. Francis, St. Teresa, many Shant Pele in Hawaii. People have gone through, and many Native Americans and Aborigines and Sufis. And, I mean, Rumi woke up, you know, Kabir, and there's been thousands of humans that went into some other state where they mastered not only 3D but 4D, 5D, 6D, 7. You know, they became awakened, enlightened. We don't even know really what that. You know, we have these words for it, but that's mostly concept. So ascension is the old way of saying it. You might hear of the ascended masters. You might have Patumi, El Moria, you know, all these Sananda, all Jesus, of course, Krishna, all of them, Rama, you know, and modern ones too. So these are beings that we thought were enlightened, we'd worship them, but they were humans that evolved into a freer state. Yogananda, Swami Sri Yukteswar, these lineages, you know. And so now, and then there were prophecies for thousands of years about there's going to come a time when this starts happening to many people, you know, where we're going to evolve. Humans don't stop evolving, you know. And so that's what's going on Earth right now. Millions of people are having massive changes in their life. Maybe it's only 15% of the population, but out of 7 billion people, 15% is 1 billion people. That's a lot of people. So you're not alone going through this new evolution revolution.
Yes.
And our systems haven't caught up with it. There's this plethora, explosion of Sadhgurus out there doing huge stuff right now, and all kinds of people. And, you know, there's so many teachings everywhere. Eckhart Tolle's Awakened Humans, Wiley Kuyton, Katie Barnett. These are awakened, normal humans who are like, well, Yogananda's all in this silk robes and, you know, all that yogic weird stuff and all that. But so it's happening to more and more of us. And the old way of avatars and worshiping the avatar, and there's one enlightened Jesus that we all touch his feet and try to get a dose of it ourselves. No, now it's happening more from the inside. So the old way was calling it ascension, meaning because we were so traumatized by being on Earth that we wanted to ascend like a balloon. I want to get out of here because it's such trouble on Earth, you know, war, killing, famine. You know, we have a bad history on Earth for a long time. Before this bad history on Earth, we actually had paradise. So those myths, they're not myths about paradise. They were real paradisical, different timelines on Earth. I don't want to get too crazy with it here. But so, anyway, so millions of us are reawakening right now. And it's sort of birth. And the way we've done birth on Earth, we're scared, and it's a drama, and it's a trauma. It's an emergency. You have to go to the hospital to give birth, right? But it's not really true. The most natural thing you know is your puppies, your dogs, your cows, the animals in the Serengeti in Africa. Giving birth is not a big deal, you know? And so we're still traumatized that change is scary for us. So all this, I have so many clients through the years. I haven't been doing it for a year or two. I'm more writing and doing my own personal work. I do a webcast on Sundays. That's about all I'm doing right now. But I have clients tell me, Tobias, my husband and I just bought a house, and he's a lawyer. He works at a construction firm. I'm a lawyer. We got a new baby. She's 3 years old. And we just built a new house in the super nice suburb of Dallas. And all of a sudden, I don't know what's happening to me. My husband thinks I'm going crazy. I'm walking in the grocery store. I can't remember what I'm doing. I'm feeling love, but I feel like I'm a different person. And I'm like, you're totally normal. You're going through what's called the Kundalini awakening and emergence. Sometimes it's called a spiritual emergency or emergence, because the same word, to emerge, we call it an emergency. It's not an emergency. It's totally natural. The wildebeest on the Serengeti are like, baby, every year, no big deal, you know. And we're like, oh, I'm changing. It's terrifying. It is terrifying. That's because we've been programmed from our parents and grandparents that somehow things should stay the same in our same little town our whole life. It's not happening. That's impossible. You can never go back. So is what used to be ascension, yogis spiraling out of their heads, people trying to get away from the horrible pain on earth. It's changing now to expansion. Instead of ascension, meaning an escape mechanism of wanting to get away from the pain on earth, the new way of human evolution now is expansion. So when you work with ayahuasca or Pele or shamans, it's not so much ascension, meaning wanting to escape out of here. It's more expanding into your liver, into your kidneys, into your intestines. Because these parts of our body are congealed spirit. We literally are. Einstein put a stroke on that with E equals mc squared. Energy and matter are the same thing. Well, we've neglected our bodies for about 300,000 years on Earth. So now all the body work and the health and the yoga and the acupressure. I'm going to a Chinese doctor here who's helping me with balancing energies and stuff right now, because I'm clearing ancient stuff. A lot of us are here to clear not only this lifetime. It used to be we'd have to die and reincarnate, if you believe in that. Now we're clearing multiple lifetimes for the same lifetime. So that's why you're going to feel, I joke with people, you're not schizophrenic, you're multiphrenic, and this is totally normal, right? You're a multiple being. You're not just this one incarnation name. There's a lot more facets to you. Sometimes artists hit that, true artists. They can do anything, like David Bowie. They can paint, they can play music, they can act, they can dance, they can sing, because they're accessing their multi-soul talent. We all have that. So we're used to being locked into, well, what do you do? Who are you? What's your number? And that's going away. So the new expansion of the human soul is a birth that will be discombobulating and a bit scary at times, because we've been programmed that it's scary. But it's really this is the best show in the galaxy right now on Earth, because you're going to awaken to being a Christ. Christ is a title. It's not Jesus Christ. Jesus the Christ is Jeshua and Joseph and David, whatever you believe in, became awakened or an avataric angelic human, a woken up human, Jesus the Christ. But there's also Noushin the Christ, Tobias the Christ. We're all Christs, and that's what all the masters said. They said, look, I'm just like you. Buddha's like, look, I'm just like you. You just haven't seen it yet. You're headed there. And Jesus is the same thing. These things that I do, you shall do, and greater things. I am you, you are me, I am the Father are one. So, and that turned into religion, which is our fear of imagining that we are Christs. I mean, it's even harder for people to say. When you say, I am a Christ of God, people are like, oh no, that's blasphemous. We can't even say it. We can't even think of it. It's like something wrong. So but it's popping up now all over the earth. Everywhere you go, I go to Ireland, Sweden, doesn't matter. Some retreat centers, people's doing healing work, everywhere. I had clients from Beirut, it doesn't matter. All over the world, this wave of humans awakening is happening. And since there's no handbook for it, it's a bit confusing for people, because we have to learn it on our own, sort of. Even though now, if you Google spiritual emergence or ascension symptoms, there's a bunch of people now who are sharing their journey. But you're not going to learn it at, so-and-so university or see it on CNN. You're not going to. A little bit, Oprah, a little bit here and there, but mostly it's still war, pestilence, famines, hurt, drama, make fun of political leaders, fighting, all that. You're not going to have schools or the media, or anybody that has a grip on it. So you're going to have to learn it yourself.
Yes. That was like great, because you covered some of the next question that I want to ask you. First, what I hear was, the ascension is just, we have to, because the fear of coming down to earth, not knowing, what am I doing, and that's my own personal experience. For so long, I knew that I don't belong here and I need to go. And I was just like living life in a hope for that I'm gonna go. I don't belong here. And then until life like pushed me to the corner, that I got it that first I need to descend before I can ascend. And in this process of descending, I call it descending, you might have a lot of other names for it, but for me it's just, let's accept that I'm here in this plane of existence right now, what I need to do, and then when it's time, and then I can descend and go back where I came from. So that was great for me, just like, oh yes, I need to come down before I can go up again. And
that's exactly, I have a video like that, I call it, because we're so addicted. The old spiritual schools is to get out of here and run away. It's sort of escapist, you know what I mean? And so it's almost better for people to hear that. I use that same word, ascension. No, stop ascension. Descension first, then expansion. And don't worry, all the angelic and powers and spirit, but that stuff's automatic. It's like water. It flows automatically. And the more you make room for it, in our bodies, literally. So yeah, we're changing that. And that's why shamanism is so popular, because people realize, oh, touch the hot stone, do a sweat lodge, do massage work, body work, and because we had many lifetimes of trying to escape out of here. It's sort of what we have, ivory tower education. Everyone goes to create colleges where everyone is up in their heads discussing. It's ivory tower. It's not grounded. And in my opinion, if you look around the universities currently, they're sort of ungrounded students get very scared and very obsessed with security, and they don't want to experience mud and dirt or other thought processes. And this is not healthy. The healthiest children in the world are the child that it has some freedom as a child, that the street dogs are the wisest, you know what I'm saying? And the way, when you let children grow up a little bit wild, they become the healthiest. But if you overprotect them, so this trying to escape from the body and your feelings makes very brittle, scared, and neurotic humans. It's like horses. If you don't let them interact with, or dogs, if you don't let dogs interact, my baby's right back here, one of them. If you don't let them interact with other dogs, they get neurotic. We need to interact with the environment, with the dirt, Worm poop creates our food. You know what I mean? And so we divided it, literally, earth is worm poop. That's what creates food. So you're eating things that are growing in worm poop. Thank you, the holy worm. Instead of making the worm so lowly, and we just, you know what I'm saying? It's about embracing, there's no garbage in nature. The concept of garbage for the knowledge of good and evil doesn't exist in nature. And we're starting to realize that us humans making this good, this bad, is what creates the conflict. We have to get rid of all bacteria, and then all of a sudden you create horrible strains of MRSA in the hospitals and things like that, because you're always fighting it but then there's a movement that's going, oh, I have tons of bacteria in my gut and all this, and I actually need it because they're my friends. So we're starting to make the change to be inclusive, embracing, expanding instead of narrow and stuck in our heads and fearful and neurotic of everything. And so this process is descending back into the body, into the emotions. And this is hard because we're trained, it took Joy, my partner, years. It takes all of us years to realize, oh, emotions are actually good. Emotions are flavor, But for a woman to get mad and angry is the social taboo. or for a man to get soft and crying and open his heart, that's strange. We still have that programming we're still working through. So emotions are going to turn out our emotions in our bodies, the things we judged as lower, are going to turn out to be the saviors of mankind.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it has the power, you know, like you feel, what you feel is the source. What you think is much weaker. That thinking is like fantasy. Feeling is rocket fuel. So the change on earth today is away from, see, Jesus and the masters, they were solar, powerful sons of emotional and physical energy. They were not meek, angelic, empty, milk toast, vaporous spirits. Not at all. Those are misnomers. So the whole change, yeah, I didn't mean to go on about it, but the descension and the grounding, this is why shamanism is much more popular than the Catholic Church right now.
Yes. and to confirm what you said, for example, I have clients that, you know, as you said, you know, in the universities, I have client that he's 28 years old and he's a doctor. He just became a doctor, like MD doctor. And then he says, I feel empty.
Yeah.
I have nothing to relate. I'm not proud of myself, which in the past, it was just, wow, you just, you know, welcome to the world of success because you are a doctor now.
Right.
So everything is shifting and everything is like really, really, the evolution is here. And then inside of that, what you said, I want to touch on that more, is the expansion, which goes to our next conversation about the third, fourth, fifth dimension that we hear a lot. And then, so that's our expansion to have more awareness and raise our consciousness, that when we call it 3D or this third dimension, and go to higher, as you mentioned, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and up.
Yeah. I was going to say, and this is, God is no respecter, the universe, Tao, of persons is one way of saying it, you know, in the biblical term. But nature, anyway, I was going to say, in my own personal journey, after working with shamans in Peru for a number of years, and others, and Native Americans, and yogis, and so forth, that when you hit the deeper things that you're cleaning out, you're going to have physical symptoms, most likely. So there's nothing wrong with us when you have physical symptoms. I'm doing great, doing yoga for 30 years, eating the right thing, all this stuff. But I'm also wanting to clean out ancient pieces of myself. And so about 2 years ago, I started having some physical stuff energetically. The doctors can't find anything, right? But it manifested high blood pressure and some stuff and this and that and the other, right? So I was in the hospital a couple of times. And I remember the doctors, first of all, they couldn't find anything, you know what I mean, except high blood pressure. But I could tell the energies are moving inside me and my organs. It still is going on. Last night I had this thing here. It literally a bump on the back of my medulla right here. These are normal. So if you're going through physical things, look up spiritual emergent symptoms. I'm not looking for this. You don't want to look for trouble. You don't want to be a hypochondriac, none of that. But if it happens, but the doctors at the hospital here at John C. Lincoln, or, you know, Honor Health, they were the same way as you just said. When I told them what I do, he go, oh, a friend of mine does ayahuasca. They do talk about ayahuasca. They're excited about these new things. And he's bored with the old system. And they would come and talk to me. And the neurologist would say, yeah, I know, I'm into all that stuff, but I can't quite talk about it. You know what I mean? So it's a change happening. Like they would be talking to me. They'd be more interested in this stuff, you know, even though. But for me, it was also very embracing. It's not about taking sides. This is inclusiveness, right? So for a while there, because I've been so involved with this for 30 years, with, you know, against pharma, against allopathic medicine, it's humbling for me and good for me to find love and understanding. Like my heart doctor, they sent me to a heart doctor as well to check everything. It was fine. But he was very sweet. And we had a beautiful conversation. Chinese, very kind of, in a way, rigid academic, heart doctor. And it was beautiful. And we ended up talking. I know he spent 20 minutes too long with me, but it was this joining of the worlds. We're trying to learn. No one's an enemy. It's just we had rigid systems. So him and I sitting there going, and he's like, yes, that's beautiful. And then I'm inspiring him and he's inspiring me. And it's really wonderful. So that's a really helpful journey for me because I almost became an MD as a young man. And so when you don't do it, you reject it. So we're learning to integrate these pieces of ourselves: scientist, lover, intuitive, physical, all this. And whereas before you chose like one of those things, you're a basketball player, you're physical, or you're an intellectual, or you're an artist, or you're a healer, No, we're all of these things. So many people, the old models, like if you're thinking becoming an MD is going to make your life great, your young man is realizing I'm still empty, it's not working. And that's his journey, But it depends on the individual. There's a right time for everything right now. I had a client a year or two ago who super oriented into alternative health and eating right and the whole thing, vegan and epigenetics and all these things. And he's like, should I go to chiropractic naturopathic school or should I get the MD thing? And Spirit said, no, you need to do the MD thing. Because for him, he was so he needed to be more grounded. So he needed to go do the medical school. So it depends on who we are. There's nothing wrong with any of it, but there's something we're creating. I've seen that we're going to create healing centers of our hospitals. We're going to start adding some flowers, some oxygen therapy, and aroma, this and that, and the diet's going to get really good. We're going to create. Why destroy the building? We built all this stuff. It's just going to change from the inside, So it's beautiful, and we can't imagine yet. People are starting having experiences, mystical experiences, seeing ghosts, other shadows out of your eyes, hearing things. Another woman in Australia, her client, her sister was a client of mine, yoga teacher, into all this alternative stuff. She said, my sister runs a construction company, or her and her husband have a construction company. She's very grounded, but she's saying she's talking to Hindu goddesses, right? It's like, what? Time to see the psychiatrist, right? And I said, well, just have her call me. So we talked. And so the yoga sister wasn't having any experiences at all. The very grounded, meat eating construction company owner sister was literally saying, there's some woman appearing in my room who looks like some Hindu goddess. That's the closest I can get to it. And people think I'm going crazy. And I go, no, this is totally normal, right? Because I've had that happen in my houses. I've had ancient deities appear. Now, the old way is you're seeing things. Yeah, you are. But it's not always that it's not real. You just have to be careful about who you tell, So it was really funny, working with her. She said, these people think I'm crazy. And so she woke up spiritually, and then she'd go to these spiritual groups, and she'd go, but they're just yapping about it. They're not actually experiencing it, And I go, yeah, that's normal too, right? Yeah. So it's, if you're going through awakening symptoms and starting to see things out of the corners of your eye, feeling things, hearing things, tones in your ears, feeling strange electrical things in your body, some things in pains, some glories, like it goes between, like one symptom, for instance, of real awakening symptoms is it's just like a light honey, a liquid honey, running somewhere inside your neck, or a pleasure in your body. Like, what is that? And other times it can be a sharp pain, ringing in the ears that immediately wants to get labeled tinnitus. No. That's you listening to the music of the spheres. You're getting messages. It's like fiber optics from stars. Imagine what that would be like. The fiber optics that run our computer right now. Well, the sun is doing all kinds of information And so mystics have talked about the music of the spheres, meaning the planets and the stars. So a lot of people will be experiencing extraordinary, what they thought was normal, sensations and realities. This is completely normal. Now, it used to be that you'd have to read books about it, some ancient crazy, or Muktanand books, Play of Consciousness, or Yogananda talking about it, the symptoms of Kundalini. And it only happened to those weird guys. But it's starting to happen a lot more to people now, normally. And whether you're the housewife with a construction company or the lawyer, it doesn't matter, or the doctor or student, it's happening across the world. 1 billion people are on the list or whatever, open to this stuff happening. The majority might still be not. But if people don't understand this, find your tribe, find it online. Ascension symptoms, spiritual emergence symptoms, ascension, Kundalini awakening, and you won't feel so alone. I've worked with so many people like this, and going through it personally myself several times this lifetime. So if you came to really awaken or evolve yourself, this is totally normal. Totally normal.
Yes. And as you said, it's not a set path that we just gonna go up or go. It's really a spiral. And as you said, we can call it like parallel universes or different timelines for those that they are more familiar with those concepts. It's just like we go up and then you have to go down, and then it's just like, whoa, I thought I dealt with that. What's happening again and again? It's just, as you said, many layers, maybe like 7 generations. We just need to clean that up. And it's perfect you said that you are not alone. So, and that's my intention, to create all these conversations, that these things are happening and you're not alone. There are so many sources that we can find, as you mentioned, so many YouTube videos or books, and community and tribes that they know there's something happening and they are embracing it, they are honoring it, and they work with each other because we are not separate. Some has different symptoms, some has some solution for it. We are not separate. So that's perfect that you mentioned that one. And the other thing I would love to talk about it is, which I hear more and more in major conversations, that the perception projection. In my opinion, in my really personal opinion, if everybody on planet, they get that whatever we are receiving, whatever we are seeing, whatever is happening is our own perception projecting to reality, it's just going to be, okay, there's no finger pointing anymore. There is no war. There is nothing. Everything comes back within us. But it's very deep conversation and hard to grasp for the people that they don't have the personal experience that, oh, I created that. I'm part of it. Why I'm complaining? Why I'm lashing to somebody else and complaining and yelling at them, which I know it's part of me. So what's your thought about that?
Yeah, that's well, I mean, we looked at it. It has to surface the duality fighting, which is obviously surfacing on Earth. It has been for a long time, but it's a little more acute right now. We have we project the stuff we don't want to see in ourselves. Basic psychology, Carl Jung, about the shadow, meaning these are things we don't want to know. We have a conscious and the subconscious project on others. It's an obvious one. It's an obvious psychological principle called projection. Oh, I don't do that. That's what you do, right? And so that's coming to a head on Earth, whether it's Democrats and Republicans pointing fingers at each other, right? Or whatever it is, that you're seeing yourself out here. And when we don't want to see that part of us, oh, I'm like that. Now, you're obviously, sometimes you can look at someone else, people, and go, oh my God, they're just projecting that stuff on each other, right? Like the political thing is very easy because you can see, oh, the stuff you do, you blame them for doing, right? It's like two mirrors against each other. It becomes crazy land, right? If you don't drop into your heart if you're not feeling your center in your solar plexus, your gut feelings, your intuition, wisdom, and love, like, see, those things will save you. Love and your gut intuition will get through the hall of crazy land, which is your mind, mirrors, right? Seeing too much, that's why scientists go crazy. Egghead people can go too crazy, too much intelligence. The smartest kid I ever knew in school, we were no dummies, he ended up going kind of crazy, because he was too intelligent. So that's, again, back to being grounded, But yeah, so one thing we're going to learn on Earth is that which I've made my enemy is actually a piece of me, or there's something there that's triggering me for me to look at. And early pioneers like Carl Jung and would talk about the shadow as a projection, your inner shadow, the dark things you don't want to look at in a part of, that you're capable of yourself. We'd rather project it out here and get Mussolini's and Hitler's and Clintons or Trumps, depending on what you believe in. And we project our things out there, but it's really a part of us. So learning to see, I have a video called Trust Your Triggers. If something triggers you inordinately, it's not just a normal little thing, but if it's something that's like a repeating pattern in your life, there's usually something there to unveil, unfold, unpack, to look at, why is that triggering me so much? And then you just start understanding why, these are all true stories, the congressman, who's a crusader against child pornography, and he's just made a career out of doing that, is caught literally with his pants down, texting 12-year-old boys. Because it's the thing he's fighting, he's fighting the thing inside himself, And so we're seeing that more and more and more and more and more everywhere, that which people are crusaders against. Why? These are all true stories. The top fire arson investigator in all of the United States, the ultimate authority, who travels all around and teaches all the fire departments in major cities on how to investigate arson, turns out to be the guy setting these fires. Because he's fighting his own fire inside himself. It's like Al Capone and Elliot Ness. That's why cops and criminals always have a beautiful dance. One life I'll be Al Capone, the next life I'll be Elliot Ness. You know what I mean? So this dichotomy, this schizoid human, this conscious, subconscious, fighting our own, scapegoating ourselves. That's why people flip. That's why very powerful men, like the stories again, top district court of New York, one step below the Supreme Court, ultimate guy, all his children go to Stanford and Harvard, and they're beautiful, and they donate to everything. Everything's perfect on the surface. He turns out to be mailing these horrible letters to an ex-lover who said, look, I can't do that because you're cheating on your wife. And he turns out to be the one the FBI catches, the Superior Court judge of New York, mailing these horribly threatening letters as a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, so that she can come back to him so he can rescue her. Or O.J. Simpson, God bless him, that guy did it. You know what I mean? It's getting obvious. The Jekyll and Hyde thing, we all have that inside ourselves. But when you don't own it, if you don't own it within you, it acts out without you, out on the outside. If you don't feel it on the inside, it will act out on the outside. So the crusader against something, therefore Shakespeare in his wisdom says, methinks he does protest too much, right? One finger pointing at them, three fingers pointing back at us. So it can be very helpful to start going, why am I triggered by that? So if you look at my video, Trust Your Triggers, you may get a deeper thing on that. So that's happening across the board. And the increasing energies on Earth, because we're increasing the energies, it's like when water comes in, when the tide comes in, everything gets wet. Right? So the sun is putting out, this is a little far out maybe, but the sun is putting out new frequencies. The sun has many, many thousands, billions of frequencies that we're not aware of. We're aware of visible light, which is a tiny bit, gamma rays, ultraviolet, X-rays, and other things. But there's a whole bunch of other thought waves, or, many, many, many frequencies of energies that are bathing the earth right now. And they're making the whole earth wet. Just like when the flood comes, everything gets wet. Well, the whole earth, you can't escape the sun's rays. And these are also spiritual rays that will surface things inside us that we can no longer hide. Mr. Hyde can no longer Jekyll and hide it. We can't hide it. And so it's scary, scary times when we have tried and tried to keep things perfect and pure and do the right thing, and all of a sudden your child's on drugs, or someone acts out, or you have an episode, or. So it's going to be a lot of gnashing of teeth and fear and terror for the people that are trying to hold their stuff together the old way, which was sort of repressive, puritanical, forcing the body and the mind to be controlled. The flesh is weak. It's going to be breaking down, and you're seeing it already. There's crazy episodes of people, So we need to have heart for that, because the more we can make it, it's okay to sort of break open. We even call it breakdowns. It's not a breakdown. You're having a break open, but we call it a breakdown. If someone gets real at Thanksgiving and says, this really hurt me when we were 12 years old, and you're like, settle down, have some more alcohol, please. It's just uncomfortable, But at some point, you can't do it. I'll give one example. The Jacksons, because they're a very famous family. Michael Jackson and his 5 brothers, right? 4 brothers. They didn't play together for 30 years. Right before Michael passed, they were doing a TV show, like a reality show, where Jermaine, the older brother, is talking to Tito and whoever they are, and he started crying. Jermaine says, "I thought you guys didn't want me in the group anymore." And Tito says, No. Those papers that's not what that was. It was just, we were adjusting the contract. They had never talked about it. So for 30 years, they didn't play together. It was a little misunderstanding, because we've been taught not to share our emotions. Mm-hmm. So now the dam is breaking in many people. The dam is breaking, and then we shove drugs at it, or we make it wrong, But we can't hold back the tide. You cannot hold back the ocean. So now the emotional tide, it's okay to break open. You're going to anyway, or you're going to check out. You're going to notice a lot of people that are still in the old system, the universe, the Tao, loving, this is my opinion, God is going to lovingly take people out of here. Because it's getting rambunctious on Earth. Hong Kong is acting up. Iran's acting up. Chile is, the young people are just like, we're not going to live like this. France, for 52 weeks, they've been racking up the yellow vests. There's a subterranean thing going. We're not going to be controlled. This needs to come out. You cannot hold the pressure down like a pressure cooker. So now this shows up health, emotional, depression. And we need to find ways to help us go through this birthing process. I'm not sure what you asked, but that's what I thought.
You talked about it, because my question was about my conversation was about the perception projection, which you talked about, and we got to the conversation that it's just like sometimes just so much, and a lot of things is coming up, because we all collectively, we are cleaning ourselves, and our stuff is coming out. But my point was just like, if we own it, if we can accept that is my own thing, that I just see it outside, and then we all can own it and work with it and get help, and just don't lash up like a country in a war, or 2 countries in a war. We hopefully that's my projection, that we eventually we're going to get through all that, and really the light is going to shine everywhere. And that's the process, at least what I see or I hope for. And I do all these things to accelerate what's going on. I'm just like one person, and I do whatever I can to shine the light on what's going on in a deeper level without having like people be scared of it. Accept it, honor it, go through it, and get help, because there's so many, as you said, even the hospitals are bringing healing centers. There's
Yeah.
so many retreats. Where was yoga? I had a public talk last year about where was yoga like 10 years ago, the way it is right now.
Yeah.
You go to public park and you see 10 people are doing yoga. Where was the being vegetarian, vegan, keto diet, all that? There's something happening, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, in a bigger scale. We just need to be aware of it and know what to do with it. So,
and compassion for each other, you know, like just compassion when people are breaking open, when the old systems aren't working. It's a terrifying thing. We want to be safe, and we try to be safe. And now, like I said, the image of the tide coming in is really good because you can't resist it, right? So the only way out is to go with it, you know, and that's going to involve your emotions and physical things. And the universe is very loving, meaning if it's going to be too much for many souls, they're going to lovingly check out, just like it's always been. It's called death, which is when you go, okay, I've had enough. I need to leave for a while, right? And then my father came back. My father was a nuclear physicist, scientist, and you know we never talked spiritual stuff ever. You know, I tried a few times and stuff, but that didn't mean he didn't have any experiences. He did. So when he came back to me, after in a friend's backyard, pretty close to where I'm sitting right now. One day I'm sitting with my friend. Now we've been doing things for a long time, him and I, my friend and I. And he looks over my shoulder, my friend. He's very visual. He can see into the other realms, you know. Always has for a long time. He's a healer, acupuncturist, and he's worked with foods for people, helped start macrobiotics in this country with Nietzsche nutrition. So my friend is looking over my shoulder and he goes, I can tell he's looking at some spirit, and I can feel somebody sitting over here. And he goes, can you feel who's behind you? I go, no, but he's very familiar. And he has to tell me, because often in our personal life, we have blind spots. You know, we might be really good healers, we're really good at helping other people, but in our own life, you know, it's like that's our blind spot. And that's normal too. Feel that for a moment. It's okay. It's okay. You're helping everyone else, but you're still learning it yourself. That's totally normal. That's how the universe sets us up. It's beautiful, right? So he goes, it's your father. My father had passed about 6 months before that. And my father basically said, I can't believe I forgot, because he's now on the other side. And he said, I took all that so serious. I got so caught up in the earth life, you know, and I can't believe I forgot that this is more real where I am now. And that was just 80 years. That was like nothing, you know. So the universe is very loving. And as soon as you go to the other side, that's why the near-death experiences, the universe is so loving right now. So many people, Anita Morjani, Daniel Brinkley, you know, Dr. Eben, I don't know, a bunch of people, right? They have some near-death experiences and come back and tell us about it. Because the universe is like, I know, kids, you need a little extra help. Here's some more money. Here's some more things. There you go. You know what I mean? It's help. There's so much help everywhere. It's what we want. What if we feel that part? Feel how beautiful it is that so many of us are like, our souls are going, hey, time to wake up, right? And it's still scary. And we still think if we have the perfect house and the kids go to Stanford and finally it's not going to work. All that stuff's coming apart, okay? All coming apart. Politics is going to come apart. The old way of doing medicine is coming apart. The way of doing lawyering is coming apart. The way of doing wars is coming apart. All of it's coming apart because the tide will make it all wet. But you can be saved by you tuning into your inner tide, which is your heart, your belly, your intuition, your love, passion, you know, and allowing the flow. It's always the drunk driver that doesn't get hurt in the accident, right? So if you get a little drunk on your inner soul energy, that's why Jesus says the living waters out of your belly. If you have living waters, what does that mean? Well, he's speaking metaphorically about the living kundalini, that juice, that energy you feel. If you do yoga, sometimes when you feel an emotion, some old sentimental emotion, you feel that energy up your spine and you get an electrical rush. That's the living water. And that will keep you safe. That knows what to do. Just like your dogs know what to do. They're instinctive still. Plants know what to do. Well, we humans have this also. So getting in touch with your instincts, therefore we love shamanism now and so forth. And, we have it within us. We really do. Is it going to be funky? Yeah, because I call it matrix addiction. We've created this artificial matrix. My 401k is fine. If the Bank of International Settlements, they're in Basel, and London, takes care of everything, and everything's fine, and we manipulate. Finally, it's gonna work. It's not gonna work out. It's artificial. It's artificial. Artificiality is coming to an end. Authenticity is coming back in. Artificiality. Every civilization is an artificial creation. Let's talk to Nero and the Romans. How did that go? So America's repeating the Roman Empire. Of course, it's so obvious. Right? We even call it the Senate. That's right. The same people are reincarnated back again, so and so was so, So we're repeating the same history. And before that with Atlantis, if you believe in that. But there's nothing that can stop us individually. You came here to remember who you are. And the inner living waters, Kundalini, call it what you want, Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, and all that. Doesn't matter what you call it. That stuff will keep you safe. It'll be a funky ride, but it's just like anything else you do. Once you go through the rapids for the Grand Canyon, afterwards you're like, oh, that was awesome, right? But while you're doing it, it's going to be a bit of a scary ride on Earth, which is exactly what, as you're noticing, all the houses of cards are coming down. We're talking right now after Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew's debacle, his interview. These are just symptoms that we're not meant to tear them limb from limb and, all the evil conspiracy stuff. I know all that stuff too, and I've worked with a bunch of those people. But we don't want revenge. But it's the undoing, the uncloaking, the personal Armageddon, collective Armageddon, all the pomp and circumstance of, the old ways of doing things are coming apart. Power back to the people, to the individual. It's happening incredibly rapidly. So you're going to see lots more revelations. Book of Revelations. Apocalypse is a Greek word meaning full divine revelation. It's Toto. It's the innocent little dog, and it's pulling back the curtain on the wicked of the Wizard of Oz. Oh, he's just a pudgy. All the curtains are going to be pulled back at this point, foreshadowed by Jesus rendering the curtain, and things are going to be clearer and clearer and clearer. But it's also scary to see things, because things are so God's source, the Tao, is very beautifully revealing things to us at a pace we can handle. But even at the pace we can handle, believe it or not, we're barely hanging on at times, right? Oh my God, the British people are going to freak out that they realize that the royals have been doing some things they don't really want to know about. Or, everywhere. It's not picking on them. It's the same in America, the cabals, Bush, Clinton families, etc. I shouldn't even name names, but it's kind of obvious now, what goes on. And so all that stuff's going to be revealed to all of us. Why? It's childhood's end. It's childhood's end. All those things we thought, this is how it works. Well, it turns out, often on the back of my book, I have it, what if almost everything you've ever been told is untrue? And in one good, whatever you're being told, promulgated, proselytized, pulped by the pulpit mass stream media, usually 180 degrees opposite is you're going to get closer to the truth. So the shocks and the hits are going to keep on coming, whatever. We all knew the Catholics were, there was sexual misuse with the Catholics and the boys. Of course, we knew that when we were 12. First time my friend took me to this church, they go, that he's doing that with the boys, right? And I was like, oh, because I'd never been to church, so it was obvious for me to see. But it's the same in yoga community. It doesn't matter, Bikram yoga on Asara. It's going to be scandals everywhere. Scandals are normal at this time. Why? Because Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are going to come out from behind the curtain. But that's not that we should punish or string them up in the city square and hate them. That's our own inner hatred. It really is about forgiveness, but justice. It's not about letting them get away with it. This all needs to be exposed. It's like when you're boiling butter, that black stuff that comes to the surface, you're clarifying the butter. So right now we're doing a massive boiling of our planet, thank you to the sun's energy. And it's a scary time. It is just like with the first time you let out cows that have been used to being in a certain field gated their whole lives. If you open the gate all of a sudden, they're very scared to step outside. So most humans who've been on survival mode for thousands of years, thousands of lifetimes, that now we're going to get free. And we're like, I don't know what to do. I need someone to tell me what to do. And so when all these old authorities that have run the world, whether it's dragon families in China or Western Illuminati or Eastern Illuminati or controls, every part of the world, it doesn't matter. India's, they're really controlled. China, America, Europe, all that. All these controls come down, you're going to learn to be a sovereign, free being again. And the masters who are already gone before us, Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, etc., they are helping us massively at this point. But it's like watching your child learn to ride a bicycle. You have to at some point let go, and they have to try it on their own, and they're gonna fall. And so that's normal right now. And I just feel all this love for us as humans, and we're so brave, and that we're actually trying to reawaken ourselves after a long time of being asleep and zombies. I just see us with shackles, like old slave shackles around our necks and hands, We've been so used to that. It's the same thing you do with your puppies. If I take my collar off one of my dogs, for a moment there, they're nervous because their collar is gone, right? They feel naked. And it's the same with us humans. We're getting our power back, but we have to do it in a way so that we don't actually fire off, into nuclear Armageddon, right? Which we've done before in other planets. So we're doing really well. And I always feel for the advanced masters, beings that have gone before us. They got their hands full right now trying to make sure the kids don't totally freak out,
Yeah.
So, but it's normal. So people feel, if you're feeling physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, waking up and forgiveness, understanding, there's a lot of pain, a lot of purging on earth right now. Purgatory. It's not hell, but we're certainly hitting purgatory. Purgatory means purging, and that's what happens with shamanic ceremonies. I did a lot of them with people, and I brought groups and stuff. And you're basically purging physically, emotionally, spiritually. And that's scary, because that's why everyone's terrified going into an ayahuasca ceremony. It's like, whoa. And it's not for everybody. It's only if you're drawn to it. You don't need to go do medicine like that. So I just feel heart for all of us, love, that we're willing to try this. Because birth is messy a bit. You have to allow the messiness. There's some fluids and green things and blood and stuff and poop. And, we still think that's wrong. It's not wrong. So emotional birth, rebirth, and physical rebirth and spiritual rebirth, you're going to be a little bit wackadoodle. It's not going to be perfectly clean, the baby all cleaned up. There you go. No, it's not how it happens. Right now, the earth is in birth, humans are in birth, and it's going to be messy for a while. And but there is a way to flow with it so that you actually realize, things are getting better, even though it feels really bad right now. But then you have a day of, oh God, I feel so much freer. You'll notice progress, that you're expanding. You're getting bigger. You're getting more comfortable. That pain you used to have in your shoulder, wow, that's gone. Or, wow, I'm able to talk to my kids better. So you'll see progress, but it's not an instant enlightenment on earth at this time. It's purgatory time, really. And this is what we signed up for, and trying to escape a lot of, if you were spiritual organizations that say, it's all good, you don't need to, no. In order to clean up the house, there's going to be dust. When you do a remodeling project of the house, it's a nightmare for a while. Toilets aren't put in, there's dust and dirt and footprints, and that's the way it is right now. So don't worry, heaven's coming, but it's not here yet. Right now, we're just in the purgatory phase. That's how I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I can keep talking to you like even not
Good.
hours, by days. I just want to connect something that you said. It reminded me, as you know, in my background being a Persian and grow up with Sufism and all that. You mentioned that it's all like our third eye, or pineal gland is getting clear, and then it's just like we are opening up and just like looking at outside to see what's going on. There is a poet, it says, I said in Farsi, it reminded me that when parde dar uftad na to mani o na man, it means when the veil is dropping and then you can see everything clearly. There is no me, there is no you, there is like everything is the same. So all the old ancient energies are coming, the knowledge that it was hidden, they're all coming, and we get all that information. So to honor your time, I would love to talk about just briefly about your book, Listening to the Sun, and what people can expect to have that book and read it and get information or be inspired by it. And then anything else that you think I missed? Because as I said, we can talk about it for days.
Yeah, I hear you. So I just want to offer love to people. If you're going through this transmutation, ascension, awakening, expansion process, you're not alone. There's a billion people on the list that it's probably going to happen to. But right now, there's certainly millions of people it's happening to. My book is that I gave myself radical permission to be completely honest. That's a part of the phase you may go through too. You might feel like, I just need to be really honest with what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. So I'm writing without any censorship about spirituality, sex, my feelings. People say things, it's little chapters, like little nuggets by themselves. Let me pull you on. And so it's what it looks like. Listening to the Sun, you can find it on Amazon. And they're just little chapters of groks, of awakening little, ignitions. And that's what people say when they read it. They say, oh my God, that totally triggered me into understanding or an aha or seeing things about sex, love, death, all kinds of stuff, and real spirituality from I give myself total permission to not hold back at all. And so it's not for everyone, like my Joy said, what her mother once, when she was alive, said, oh, can I have a copy of your book? And I looked at her, I said, Wanda, it's very honest. And she got it, and she said, oh, okay. So if you're ready for it being very honest, but people write very nice things about it, You can read it on the back, or you can read the previews on Amazon. Yeah, sure. So it's kind of an activating book. I have another one on Amazon too called Shackled Gods. This is me actually writing verse. I don't hate to call it poetry. It's like things that would come in during my first Kundalini awakening about 25 years ago. And they came in purely. I never edited it. It came in pure. And these also, people say, it tends to activate their own awakening. It's a bit dark, heavy, because I was going through dealing with the shadow, the dark parts of ourselves. It's unshackling ourselves from the control. This is Laocoon, a very famous priest that was warning the people against the city of Troy of being aware of the Trojan horses. Poseidon came and sent him sea serpents and sucked him down. No one knows who created this beautiful ancient statue. Michelangelo predicted the arm that was lost for 500 years, where it would be found or how it would look. But this is from the ancient times, purging our darkness, really, is what this is. Shackled God. The main thing I like to do for people is to have this. I do a webcast on Sundays at 11:30 Arizona time for people that are going through this actual process of awakening. And we're equal with each other. People come on. I have guests on where we're sharing sort of equally. I'm not being the authority, and even though I have to run it, facilitate it, I'm not being the authority, but it's eliciting each of us as equals, sharing what's happening to us, and sort of like a satsang for people going, what's going on with me, and not feeling alone, and all that kind of thing. And we do that on Sundays. You can attend live. You can listen to it later. You just go to tobiaslars.com